Good evening, everyone. Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach City Commission. Today is Monday, June 9th, 2025, and the time is 5 p.m. We will start this meeting off as we do all of our meetings with a moment of silence, please. Madam President, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me remind everyone of the rules of civility and decorum which govern this meeting. Officials shall be recognized by the chair and shall not interrupt the speaker. Public comment shall be addressed to the City Commission as a whole and not to any individual in the dais or in the audience. Displays of anger, rudeness, ridicule, impatience, lack of respect, and personal attacks are strictly prohibited. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, and similar demonstrations should not be permitted. Please govern yourselves accordingly, as offenders may be removed from the meeting. Also, any person desiring to address the commission shall complete a comment card for each agenda item the person wishes to address, which comment card shall include the person's full name, address, and the numbered agenda item. If the card is not completely filled out, the individual will not be recognized. Thank you. Madam City Administrator, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We do have a proclamation. Each June, we celebrate Pride Month by honoring the progress we've made and reaffirming our commitment to equity, inclusion, and dignity for all. West Palm Beach is proud to be a community of opportunity for all, where diversity is our strength, and the LGBTQ+ community continues to enrich every part of our city. We remain committed to protecting equal rights and ensuring that every resident feels safe, seen, and valued. And we applaud the organizations and advocates who work daily to advance this mission. Night Runners West Palm Beach is one of those important organizations, and the city is proud to support their 5th annual Pride 5K on June 21st at 6:30 p.m. This event is just one example of how we come together to celebrate, uplift, and stand in solidarity with our LGBTQ+ community. I, Keith James, Mayor of the City of West Palm Beach, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month. And here to accept the proclamation is Roger Jackson from Night Runners. Mr. Jackson. You want to say a few words?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
All righty. Hello, everybody. Hi. All the commissioners. Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. I'm Roger Jackson. Thank you to the City of West Palm Beach for this incredible honor and recognizing Pride Month with this proclamation. It means the world to us and to so many in our community to feel seen, valued, and celebrated. Night Runners West Palm Beach began in 2016 with a simple idea. Rudolph Galindo and a group of friends believed in creating something special, and 9 years later, we're still here. We started off as a small gathering, has grown into a community that shows up twice a week, every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. in Howard Park. For 9 years, we've shown up, rain or shine, creating a safe space for runners, walkers, and everyone in between. A space where people can feel just a little less lonely in this big world. A space where you're not only welcomed, but you belong. In 2018, we became an official 501c3 nonprofit because we wanted to give back even more, to uplift, to support, and to make an impact beyond just the miles we run. Now we're just 12 days away from our 5th annual Pride 5K, happening Saturday, June 21st, 6:30 p.m. in downtown West Palm Beach. It's not just a race, it's a celebration of life, of love, of community, and of being exactly who you are. Because here's the truth, it's not a burden to be who you are. Representation matters, and proclamations like this one are more than just words, they are symbols of hope. As we run through this beautiful city and see the pride flag flying in the wind, it reminds us, when you run in this city, you belong. When you walk in this city, you belong. When you roll, when you hop, when you skip, when you take a circuit, you belong. Thank you to our 2024-2025 board members, Ryan Thompson, Teresa Gonzalez, Rudolph Galindo, myself, Roger Jackson, and Daniel Kane. Your dedication and heart keeps this movement going. This month is about joy, and that joy is visibility, and that visibility is community. And what a glorious community it is. Sometimes it's the things that we can't change that makes us so perfectly made. Happy Pride Month to the LGBTQIA+ community. Happy Pride Month to our allies. Happy Pride Month to the young ones with more courage than I've ever seen before. Happy Pride to the parents and the sibling that express unconditional love. And happy Pride to the cities that values us. From Night Runners West Palm Beach, thank you so much.
Melanie, did you want to say anything?
Just as always, thank you to the mayor and all of the commissioners for supporting our community. Now more than ever, it really means a lot to all of us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now I do have the pleasure of welcoming a special guest to tonight's meeting to present an update. Someone who's been working hard in Tallahassee on behalf of our community, State Representative Deborah Tendrich. Representative? Before she begins, let me just say she completed her first legislative session. Did they take it easy on you? No,
Yes.
They didn't. Okay. And she wasted no time getting to work. From day one, she's been a strong advocate on issues that matter deeply to our city and to our residents. We're proud of her leadership and momentum. And thank you again, Representative Tendrich, for the update.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. And by the way, I took it easy on them. They didn't take it easy on me.
All right, very good.
I'm here today with my legislative aide, Joey Hippolyte, behind me with our new intern. It's his first day entering 11th grade. His name is Freddie Aguilar. And at our district office, we also have Audrey Piedra, who is our district aide. Just a quick introduction. My name is Deborah Tendrich. I represent Central Palm Beach County and a part of West Palm. I'm a mom. I run a nonprofit, so I see how policies from Tallahassee trickle down and affect people differently, so I'm able to advocate for our community a little bit different than some other legislators. But collectively, we've done a lot of good work, and we've stopped some bad things happening this session, and it's been quite interesting. This is session unlike any others. I have been assigned to a number of committees. So some of my committee assignments, I'm on the Joint Administrative Procedures Committee, Select Committee on Property Taxes, which is going to be a very important one because property taxes, if we stop paying them, we won't be able to fund our local governments, including public safety, infrastructures, public education, and a number of things that each of our residents deserve the quality of that makes the city of West Palm, Lake Worth Beach, and all these different cities run the way and make us feel like home. I'm also on the State Affairs Committee, Natural Resources and Disaster Subcommittee, Information Technology Budget and Policy Committee, Healthcare Budget Committee, Student Academic Success Committee, and I was also on the Vetoed Water Project Combined Work Group, which went through some of the vetoed water projects from the previous session, and we were working towards seeing if we can get those funded for this session. I did have my first bill pass, which is exciting. It's the Holocaust Remembrance Day. So now, moving forward on January 27th, from now on, the state of Florida will recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And that's extremely important because we've seen a lot of anti-Semitism, and we've even had not only Holocaust deniers, but Holocaust justifiers now. And so we really want to make sure that, we continue that legacy of the families who have lost a lot of individuals to the Holocaust and move forward. One bill that I actually made it through 2 committees unanimously, but it was blocked on the 3rd, is an affordable housing bill. This affordable housing bill was designed to prevent mid-lease rental increases for affordable housing units. Why this is so important is that individuals who sign affordable housing leases that are not Section 8, but they're contracted to be affordable housing, they're getting tax incentives and financial incentives for being an affordable housing unit. They have put clauses in the leases where mid-lease, they're increasing those rents. And it's been really burdensome and harmful to a lot of those with disabilities, on fixed income seniors, with those with medical conditions, and even families with children that are working, and those unexpected rent increases are really challenging. One thing that the city can do moving forward to put protections in place for new development, it won't be retroactive to past development, is you can actually put language in those contracts with new developers to let them know that they cannot increase the rents mid-lease on their tenants on affordable housing units. And that would add an extra layer of protection. They could say the rental rates in affordable rental housing units shall not be increased during the term of a tenant lease to adjust for changes in rent limits occurring subsequent to execution of the tenant lease, but may only be increased upon lease renewal. That would do an extra layer of protections, and we can also provide that sample language. But moving forward, with all these new developments and marketing towards affordable housing, we don't want to trap those tenants into mid-lease rental increases that are harmful. We did actually have a budget win for the city of West Palm. We fought for some fire rescue gear, and it's actually been grayed out. So how the budget works is the Senate and the House both fight for the budget, and once they match, they kind of shade it out in gray, and that means that it's pretty much locked up in stone, and that it will actually come into our city. So what's great is a lot of the fire rescue gear was outdated, and to get them up to standard, we actually secured $257,000. As long as the governor doesn't veto it, it's yours. We're now also pending during budget negotiations because we still have not finalized the state budget. We were at one point at risk of a government shutdown, but we were able to come to an agreement, and they're working it out now. So we will actually have a budget, but we have a few that would actually benefit the residents of West Palm and surrounding areas. So just a few. There's $250,000 for Jewish Family Services. That would actually help create a scholarship for working families because the cost of childcare is so high. So they would actually scholarship families to send their kids to camp without it being an exorbitant amount of cost for that family that's working. We have a $500,000 grant for Digital Vibes, which is trying to help. It's a Let's Move initiative, which will help families and kids and seniors throughout the county exercise. And then also there's the Patriot Pass. The Patriot Pass would actually allow the veterans in Palm Beach County to ride public transportation at no cost. So that request is also pending right now. We do have a lot of condos here, and there has been some new legislation to support some of the condo crisis. We're still not exactly where we need to be, but we have made some improvements. For instance, HB 365 creates a My Safe Florida condominium program, and what that does is it actually helps with the matching grant program to harden condos, anything pretty much that would help with the mitigation insurance. There's matching funds now to help cover those costs of roofs, windows, doors, and whatnot, and so forth, to actually help with the cost of those condo hardenings. And it's anything that would actually allow your insurance rates to drop. So that is one thing. And also more transparency on condo documentation, cleaner financial recording, and how they're managed is also part of that, because mismanagement has been a big piece of the condo crisis as well. I've already talked about the property tax. So the interesting thing about the property tax is when I bring up that I'm on the property tax committee, most people say, well, what about insurance? And, that seems to be the consensus where it's most important. I think because the insurance crisis is so grandiose right now that trying to find some relief if we can without hurting and harming our local government. But to be honest, we should be focusing a great deal of time on making sure our insurance rates are taken care of and lowered and more transparent for each and every one of your benefits. We have been really busy. We had about 2,000 bills brought forward that we have to look through and review. And we had only maybe about 10% that actually passed. So of those, I actually co-sponsored quite a few, but about a dozen of those actually did pass. So we've worked together to make sure those pass. And those are bills that's relating to public health, veterans, education. There was a big issue with the state land management bill where that's actually a very good protection to our parks. I don't know if you remember with JD Park, when they were trying to build the pickleball courts and things like that to really kind of develop the state parks. We really fought back against that and we won. And there was a piece of legislation that many of us jumped on board to make sure it passed and it was signed into law. So we have additional parks and protections for our parks. The middle school and high school start times are back up to the discretion of the local school boards instead of being mandated now from the state, which really was a big problem when it came to making sure we had enough bus drivers and buses and people's work schedules, and just it was a very unfortunate bill that we were able to remedy this session. But there's so many more that actually have affected, from human trafficking to just overall public health. And so I was really excited to be a part of those processes. But not every bill is a good bill. We actually had quite a few bad bills. One is a bill that would have really sunsetted all of our CRAs. And why that's a problem is the CRAs are responsible for eliminating slum and blight. So they're responsible for a lot of affordable housing units, affordable rents for small businesses, some mobility. They have those carts that go around and take people within the communities when they don't have a car or vehicle. So we were able to actually block that bill. When that bill came, I saw how it'd be devastating to the CRAs here in Palm Beach County, including the one here in West Palm Beach, where we do the right thing. A lot of the CRAs don't, and that's where that was coming from, but we have a lot of CRAs that are good. And so I put together a Zoom meeting with the different CRAs, 3 different CRAs in our district, to meet with the bill sponsor, and we were able to fix the bill. Not all the way, but we did improve it, and then we were able to actually get it blocked and stopped, so we don't have to worry about it this session. Hopefully it does not come back next session, but we were successful in that this year. One of the other things that we did work on is HB 1205, which we fiercely fought against, but it did pass and the governor signed into law. That is a bill that basically affects how citizen-led petitions are going to be run, which basically makes it impossible for citizens to run a ballot initiative through the citizen ballot petition process. It's already extremely challenging, but they made it to the point where it's actually pretty much impossible to get a citizen-led initiative done. I was also on the healthcare budget subcommittee, and many of you may have heard about that $10 million scandal through Hope Florida, where with the money laundering through the Hope Florida Foundation to 2 501c4s, which are called dark money PACs, which then went to fight the Amendment 3 ballot initiative. So the state redirected funds secretly that were supposed to be brought to the legislators' attention, but they didn't. They bypassed that, and they ended up funneling it into a PAC, into 2 PACs, and then into another PAC, which then fought a ballot initiative that was led by the citizens. So, that was interesting. That's an ongoing story. Leon County did open an investigation on that for us to dig into that further. And what you'll look for some news reports. We're working with Channel 5 right now for an investigative report, and also Tampa Bay Times, which is also Miami Herald. They're doing some more discoveries on that as well. But that's something to follow, just because we're looking at nonprofits. There's over about 8,000 nonprofits in our state, in our county, that actually do the work that support government. And when you see a nonprofit at the top doing something wrong with money that is actually your money, your Medicaid dollars being spent to fight a ballot initiative secretly, we want to make sure that, one, that narrative doesn't harm other nonprofits, because nonprofits here are furious because they know how much work they have to do and accountability they have behind each dollar. So, beyond that, moving forward, I'm going to stay involved. We have these brochures with all of our contact information. Please reach out to our office if you need anything. We're available. A few of the things that we'll be working on moving forward will be affordable housing, would be just actually overall affordability for all of our residents and constituents, our public education, protecting it and funding it, along with our teachers, making sure we have clean air and clean water, make sure we have the right infrastructure so we can sustain growth, and just working cohesively with each and every one of you to make sure that you just feel comfortable here and want to stay here in Palm Beach County to live, work, and play. So thank you so much. Are we taking questions? Or
Thank you, Representative, for all of your hard work, and I would hope that you would add to your to-do list to combat any bills which preempt the right of us cities to govern ourselves. We need to protect the city's home rule authority. So,
it's a priority of mine.
And that becomes, that's becoming more and more of a challenge in each legislative session for whatever reason. There are a number of people up in Tallahassee that just don't like cities and don't think we know how to run our own affairs. So keep that on your to-do list as well. But thank you for all that you have done and will continue to do. And that's not a bad record for your first year.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I just appreciate the opportunity to share some of the work we've done. Obviously, that's just scratching the surface, but home rule is something that we talk about and we fight for every day, and we do see it getting chipped away at, and we want to do everything we can to protect it.
All right, any questions, comments, Commissioners? All right, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now turn to the consent calendar, items 8.1 through 8.12. Commissioners, do you have any comments, questions on consent? 8.1 through 8.12. All right, we do have a couple of cards. They do not want to speak, and so I will read their comments into the record. Mary Murphy, 5200 North Flagler Drive. Please fully fund Brian Chappelle Park Fishing Pier. Thank you. Claudia Kirk Bartow, 510 51st Street. Looking forward to your approval for Chappelle Park Pier funding. Angela Ogborn, I believe. Please approve funding for Chappelle Park Pier. And Lucy George, please vote yes for funding Chappelle Park Pier. Hearing no comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will now turn to item 9.1. Public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5132-25, a privately initiated text amendment to Chapter 94 Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 4, and Article 19 to provide additional standards for hospital use within the downtown master plan and to further clarify the existing definition for hospitals.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Chris Kimley, Senior Urban Designer. This is second reading. There have been no changes from the first.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions, comments, Commissioners? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 5132-25, amending Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 4 and Article 19. This motion is based on the factual testimony presented, the staff report, the recommendation of the Planning Board, and the finding that the amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan and complies with the standards found in Section 94-32 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5132-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 4, Downtown Master Plan Urban Regulations, Section 94-106, General Uses with Special Requirements, and Article 19, Definitions, Section 94-611, Definitions to modify the language to provide additional standards for hospital uses within the Downtown Master Plan Area, DMP, and to update the existing definition, declaring these proposed zoning text amendments to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the zoning and land development regulations of the city, providing a conflicts clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.2, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5134-25, a privately initiated text amendment to Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 4, Downtown Master Plan Urban Regulations, Section 94-124, North Railroad Avenue District, NORA, to eliminate the height and stories requirement for residential developments utilizing the Downtown Master Plan Housing Incentive Program.
Good evening again, Mayor and Commissioners. Chris Kimmerly, Senior Urban Designer. This is second reading, and there have been no changes from the first.
Very good. Are there any questions, comments, Commissioners? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 5134-25, amending Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 4. This motion is based upon the application submitted, the staff report, factual testimony, the recommendation of the Downtown Action Committee, Planning Board, and the findings that the request complies with the comprehensive plan and with the standards in Section 94-32 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
Very good. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5134-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 4, Downtown Master Plan Urban Regulations, Section 94-124, North Railroad Avenue District, NORA, to modify the language to eliminate the height and storage requirement for residential developments utilizing the DMP Housing Incentive Program, declaring these proposed zoning text amendments to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the zoning and land development regulations of the city, providing a conflicts clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.3, public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 5135-25, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 86, Traffic and Parking, at Sections 86-245 and 86-246, to revise the permit requirements and approval process for construction traffic management and construction parking plans.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is Veronica Altuve, City Traffic Engineer for West Palm Beach. The engineering services currently approves the construction project management plan for parking and traffic. But right now, we don't have a formal process in order to track the various numbers of plans that we receive. And we would like to establish this process in order to consolidate it, the coordination with the building department. Right now, our ordinance prescribes that it has to be approved prior to building permit, and therefore we would like to establish this process in order to have a better tracking system. Because the city is experiencing tremendous growth of development in the area, we've had ongoing issues with on-street parking on the residential areas. And we have been able to ameliorate these circumstances by having several meetings with several of the construction projects in the area. So this is the reason why we would like to amend the Code of Ordinance to delete Section 86-245, which in fact that will come under 86-246, because that is a subset of that of that process. And we would like to establish the new permit, which will be tracked through the EPL system in order to better manage. In essence, the construction, traffic, and parking management plan will provide for us to request the site plan illustrating the staging area and how on-street parking will be affected by construction vehicles and storage material equipment. We would like to make sure that the right-of-way or the public streets are not going to be blocked by the staging vehicles or any equipment that will be a negatively affect to the traffic flow in these areas. We would like to have a route map illustrating the road construction and delivery vehicles to access the construction site. We would like to make sure that these heavy vehicles are using major street, no local small residential area that will affect the quality of life of our residents. Our parking plan will illustrate the location where construction workers will park and how will the workers be transported to the site. We want to ensure that the construction management plan provides an adequate location for the construction workers and they're adequately being bused to the site to make sure that they're not parking on site. And we would like to make sure that the project has a process in place to make sure that the construction workers are in fact using those locations, because we've had instances where the project does provide a location for the construction workers and they're not parking there. And upon issuances of 3 violations, the building official shall issue a stop work order. And how do we manage that? So it's really hard for us to go out there and keep track of the various construction projects that are in the area. Sometimes our construction coordinators go out there and to ensure that they're doing things appropriately, but we don't have 100% staff dedicated for them to understand whether or not, the construction management plan it's being followed to whatever they propose to us. So a lot of times we do depend on the residents to call on us and let us know whether or not construction workers are parking in the areas. And we have received numerous phone calls, as I have mentioned before, that from the residents that on-street parking is becoming an issue with the construction workers. And there have been instances that we have sent our construction coordinators and they've in fact have documentation or recordings that the construction workers are parking on the residential areas. And as part of the permit, during the second reading, there will be a resolution presented to you where we will establish the permit fee of $300 for up to 2 reviews. And so we, the staff, believe that this is the best interest of the city of West Palm Beach to update and adopt regulations that supports the good organized growth of the city and development while we're protecting the well-being of our residents. And so we're recommending approval of the ordinance. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Any questions, Commissioners? President Lambert?
Thank you so much. This is definitely much appreciated and needed and throughout our city, as you mentioned, as we continue to see growth in our city and making sure that we're all trying to live harmoniously together. I appreciate you talking about how we would ensure compliance of this. And I know I asked this at agenda review, and so you gave a little more detail here, but would it make sense to very clearly outline what residents should do if they have a concern, if they want to learn more about the construction management parking plan, who they should call, because I just can see them calling your office, calling Mr. Fana's office, calling my office, entering it into WPB Key. And I would just like us to be efficient, because I think, hopefully this won't be an issue. And if there's 1 or 2 complaints, that ends it. But if it goes to the 3 complaints, I hope that we have a way to be able to document that so that then the stop work order can be in place.
So what I would suggest is perhaps to add additional language to the ordinance and present it during second reading, that the developers should reach out to the residential area within a certain radius, and I'll have to figure out what that radius is, so that they can present their construction management plan to the residents, to make sure that the residents are well aware. Is that something, City Attorney, that I could do?
I think that what the question was is whether or not there would be something that we could include in the ordinance that would give residents like a complaint process. You should file your complaint with so-and-so in writing, that type of thing.
If I could clarify, since I made the suggestion, I don't know that it needs to be in the ordinance. If we should have just a process in place, I don't know if it's in the ordinance is the right place for it.
Mayor Commissioner Armando Fana, Assistant City Administrator. Because we are creating basically a permit process for this, it could be that we can have a link, we can create a page within engineering services or even the building department where you have a link that go to the EPL system where they can just type in the project, or this will be the address, per the address of where the construction is happening, and there be able to pull up the actual permit conditions. And that would be one way that would be fairly easy to track.
But I think the commissioner was looking for communication to the public about who they should call if there's a complaint, right?
So they can call engineering services, because we'll manage the permit. And we can suggest to the developers then that they should reach out to the community to present it, so that make sure that the community is aware.
Yeah, and I think we probably should have some kind of general announcement release or something that goes out if the ordinance is passed, put forth a communication blitz, if you will, to the citizens. And we'll have something on our website where they can register, and also encourage them to use WPB Key. But we'll get the word out there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Any other questions, commissioners, comments? There are no cards, so if there are no comments, I will certainly entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5135-25 on first reading and schedule second reading for June 23rd, 2025.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5135-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida at Chapter 86, Traffic and Parking, Article 4, Stopping, Standing, and Parking. Division 1, generally to delete Section 86-245, Construction Project Parking, and amend Section 86-246, Construction Traffic Management Plan, to revise the plan requirements and approval, providing a conflicts clause, a codification clause, and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now turn to comments from the public. We do have 2 cards. Artesia Fuchs and Danielle Underwood. Ms. Fuchs.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Artesia Fuchs, 1900 37th Street, West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm here representing Westfield Neighborhood Association I'm sure some of you may know because our past president was Jackie Smith, who recently passed away. We have two new people now. We have Larry Stout, who's the president, and Ardis Johnson, who's the vice president, and couldn't be here today, but asked me to be here in their stead. Our concern is that, let me go back. FDOT, I'm sure you all may know that FDOT is working on the bridge right there on North Shore Drive. They're installing an overpass of the canal. Okay, and Ferrara was given the contract for this. Our concern is that Mr. Ferrara and his construction company has used a vacant lot in our neighborhood as his docking station. Now, I don't know if you all are familiar with the docking station for a construction site, but it's actually where they operate out of. It's where they store all their equipment, big pieces of construction equipment, backhoes, the whole lot. They dump waste there. They dump cement boulders, whatever comes from that construction of the canal is what goes there. When we first were made aware of this, they tasked me, since it's only about 4 or 5 from my home, the vacant lot is about 4 or 5 houses away from my home, where I've been since 1986. I looked into it, I called Code. Code said, no, not our issue. Call Planning and Zoning. I called Planning and Zoning. They said, no, not our issue, call Engineering. I called Engineering, only to be told that Mr. Ferrara was given a permit by the city. So our question was how and why? Why was he given a permit to use a vacant lot in a residential area as a docking station? You can only imagine what it looks like with the equipment coming in and out all day. Safety, number one. Number two, how it may impact our property value. I was told that, oh, well, it's there, but it's clean.
Okay, 3 minutes. Okay. Mr. Fana, can you talk to her and see if, explain the process and we get to the bottom of this? Okay, Danielle Underwood, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the clocks are not working, so the time is being kept manually by the clerk, so that's why you don't see the clock running.
Good evening. My name's Danielle Underwood. I'm going to keep my address confidential. Some of you here may know who I am. Some of you may not. I've talked to a couple of you, and Ms. Faye Johnson, I think you know who I am, and Ms. Lambert, I think you know who I am from speaking. Tonight I'm here to bring up some current concerns about the Code Enforcement Department. I don't know where any of you all stand on knowing what's going on in the Code Enforcement Department, but it's a hot mess. The city really needs to get it together and needs to look into this department and see what they've done since they've moved it from the PD over to Community Housing and Development. The Director of Community Housing and Development has no expertise and no education on what code enforcement is. The director does not know the positions of the code enforcement officers and what they are supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing. In about August, I would say about August, maybe February, right in that area, it was turned over to them from the PD. There are officers that are being ridiculed, harassed, racial slurs, being called white cracker ex-cops when they enter into the code enforcement department when they got hired. And this has been going on for years upon years of nobody doing anything about any of this. Complaints being filed, they've been let go. It's all of favoritism and who you know and who you are. Currently, you have somebody who was an acting supervisor that was in the queue for a manager position, and that person And if anybody doesn't have the documents, feel free to ask me for them, because I have 140 pages right here that were given to me. This person was accused and found guilty of stealing 124.65 hours, which is over 88% of the time from August to January, of stealing time, which is wages that accrue to over $4,000. And this person was approved to keep their job. And Ms. Faye Johnson, I believe you were a part of that. This person is still sitting behind a desk at code enforcement, currently working, who has in the past years been reprimanded for the same thing, stealing time. We currently have a code enforcement officer that is suspended for taking extended lunch breaks, which is BS. This person, along with numerous others, have always been, and the practice has always been, to have 1 hour, up to 1 hour lunches. Managers included having lunches, discussing cases, being out in the field. They're pulling their GPSs, they're grounding these code enforcement officers, putting them in timeout for being parked at a park, working on their laptops or iPads after taking pictures of a property and then putting it in their iPads. And they're ridiculing them.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, that's the extent of the cards. So we'll now turn to the dais, and we'll begin with you, President Lambert.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the city recognizing Pride Month, and in a time of just thinking about inclusivity and acceptance of others, I wanted to bring up something that last week Palm Beach County Commission passed a resolution condemning the rise in anti-Semitic violence, including the recent killings that we heard about, saw in Washington, D.C., and the FBI has started to issue a warning about elevated threats to the Jewish communities across our country. And I just want us to be specifically heightened in our awareness and to look into strengthening our own resolutions or our efforts through education, community partnerships, and law enforcement coordination to ensure that West Palm Beach is doing its part to combat the hate and to protect all residents. Beyond that, I just want to wish our fathers a happy Father's Day next weekend, and thank you for the short meeting, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Warren?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to give a reminder that Juneteenth, Red-teenth celebration is happening on June 14th in Wellington from 4 to 8 p.m. This is a free event that is open to the public, and from 4 to 8 p.m. And there is an event on June 20th, also celebrating Juneteenth, by Black Lux Foundation, and it's called Coffee and Cream. And that event, prices of the tickets start at $40 a person on Friday, June 20th, from 8 p.m. until 1 a.m. Save the date for the annual barbecue Blues and Brews, Saturday, June 25th. Get ready for the ultimate summer event at Heart and Soul Park. And June is dedicated to men's mental health awareness, men's health awareness. This month serves to raise awareness about mental health challenges faced by men, encouraging open conversations and breaking down stigmas that prevent men from seeking help. I like to say that this past week, I experienced personally two separate, very racially insensitive moments. And I'd like to say that I think that this is a very important time for us to come together. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you, thank my colleagues for supporting all of us. Whether it has been the mayor's initiatives of celebrating Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Pride, Women's History, acknowledging disabilities and differences. Now more than ever before in my lifetime, your commitment to inclusion, respect, and understanding means more than words can fully express. When we embrace the importance of belonging and recognizing, embracing our unique contributions, we recognize that that's a strength, and we create a culture where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. I thank us for recognizing that we are truly better and stronger and smarter and more impactful when we move together, and that we do not operate in fear. And this is a time where fearlessness is of utmost importance. So thank you for leadership. Thank you for being able to step out and do what may not always be comfortable. But I think that it is extremely imperative that we continue the trajectory of the work that we've done. And I agree completely with President Lambert's comments about being very intentional as it relates to anti-Semitic actions. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to make the residents aware that on Wednesday, June 18th, we will have a visioning discussion about downtown placemaking. This is an opportunity for people to share their input about the future of downtown. It will be held here at City Hall in the Flagler Gallery from 5 to 7 p.m. I think many of us were here during COVID when the governor had an executive order that issued basically saying that we could expand our outdoor seating and dining for restaurants. And then after the declaration was expired, our city passed our own ordinance and worked closely with the DDA on regulations so that we could continue to allow businesses to expand their outdoor seating. And I was very excited that the first completed project from that program, the Parklet Grant Program, it was open this week at Avocado Grill. So if you haven't had a chance to go check it out, it looks amazing. And the DDA has been working on a grant program to hopefully find additional businesses that can take advantage of this. But I just am very grateful that we as a board could continue to look out for our business community and the needs of the downtown residents as well, that this is something that's been really beneficial for everybody to be able to expand this program, and I'm looking forward to seeing more restaurants take advantage of it. I also have been having a lot of feedback from residents about an item that we had in our last meeting. It was a settlement agreement with the Waterview Towers was in our last agenda on consent, that they will be essentially putting gates in the front of the building, and in return, the city will be able to take advantage of a future connection from the waterfront sidewalk to the bridge. And I wanted to, I know that there's many steps that would be involved. It's not an automatic thing, but I have received many calls about what the next steps would be in that process. And I know that there would be funding involved and FDOT permits and things like that. But I wanted to ask if there were any steps that we needed to take as a commission in terms of discussing it or voting on it, or if there was any additional feedback that I could bring back to residents that have been asking. And that's all I have right now. Thanks.
Madam City Attorney, do you want to address that question?
Well, I think that first and foremost, it's one step at a time. And the first step in the agreement was that for the public access to be opened, and that would require the installation of the gates, and those are the gates that you all reviewed at the last meeting. We are currently working with Waterview and Leisure Resorts, waiting for them to submit the actual plans for approval, the real documented approval that goes through your building department and such, so that we can make sure that they pass the regulatory requirements of the code. Once the gates are up, then the terms of the agreement are operable as it relates to public will be able to use that walkway that exists today. And then you're right, the second step would be if and when the city decides, and I you know, it's just a matter of when, and perhaps you'll have a work session on it and have presented some various plans, but it's going to take some planning from your engineering department, planning department, administration to bring that back to you to take a look at it, to see what it's going to look like or the potentials are, and then we can move from there. But baby steps. The first step is to get the gates up and the public walkway accessible during dawn to dusk hours.
Any follow-up? Okay, and we will certainly obviously keep the commission advised accordingly. Just a few comments, and thank you, commissioners, for acknowledging the efforts of the city to be inclusive and welcoming to different groups. That is intentional on our part, and you all are a part of that. And I think it's important to recognize and acknowledge these various months when they do come up, and acknowledge the goodness and the good works of different groups. As a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes various elements of our community to make our community healthy and sustainable. And we want to acknowledge the efforts of those who may be different than who we are, because they constitute an essential component of what we are as a community. So thank you, commissioners, for acknowledging that. Pleased to share that we recently celebrated the grand opening, finally, Fantasy Island Restaurant in the heart of our historic Northwest neighborhood. This vibrant addition was made possible thanks to the support of this commission, this body, the CRA, and dedicated city staff. The beautifully restored space now serves as both a Caribbean dining destination and a symbol of revitalization, preservation, and cultural pride. Located at the southern gateway to the historic Northwest neighborhood, it complements nearby projects like the Grand and Flagler Station, aligning with our vision to uplift small businesses and honor the area's historic fabric. Thanks to everyone involved, especially the owners, Fritz and Nivea Jean-Louis, for helping bring this project to life. I also want to invite our residents, organizations serving low and moderate income residents, special needs populations, builders, and other interested parties to join us for an important conversation about the future of housing and community development in West Palm Beach on Wednesday, June 25th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. right here at City Hall. The Department of Housing and Community Development will host a community meeting to gather input for the city's 5-year consolidated plan. Please know to those residents who are under the sound of my voice, your voice matters. This is your opportunity to help shape how we invest in housing, services, and resources through 2029. We hope to see so many of you there. And very, very important news. In April, we launched our nonprofit children's book, Sam the Snail Kite and the Secret of the Everglades. The book allows children to follow Sam on his journey to keep the Everglades alive. Since the launch, hundreds of copies have been sold, not yet a New York Times bestseller, and we've donated additional copies to community initiatives and the children visiting our Grassy Waters Preserve Nature Center. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that the School District of Palm Beach County has approved Sam the Snail Kite for distribution in all district elementary schools. Beginning this August, the book will be available in school libraries across the district. The book is also being placed in Palm Beach County branch libraries and our own Mandel Public Library. So I want to thank the Grassy Waters Preserve Conservancy and our staff at Grassy Waters Preserve once again for creating this book from concept to character drawings. A city of opportunity for all offers its children equal access to educational resources. So that concludes my remarks for tonight. Good night. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the great city of West Palm Beach. This meeting is adjourned.